2025, Chipotle's founder is set to unveil a new restaurant chain run by what else? Robots. According to The Independent, Chipotle founder Steve Ells is set to open a new restaurant run by robots that's aimed at reducing waste. The new restaurant, called Colonel, is scheduled to open in Manhattan soon and will also rely on robots to make most of its food. The Chipotle founder has said that while the robots will be used to make the food, the restaurants will also have a skeleton staff of about 3 people, I believe, that will be responsible for packaging food and washing dishes and could operate with fewer employees than a traditional QSR. The New York Post also reported with Els claiming that removing humans from the preparation process will also allow them to enhance safety. Chris, we're going to you here. Are robots the right move in this current business climate? What do you say?
Eternal pessimist here.
Whoa!
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I just think like this sounds sexy, right? Sounds like, everything working for this concept, but like break it down a little bit. We have 3 concepts that have significant headwinds right now, right? So they're doing like a hub and spoke ghost kitchen model with this. So that's one element. Then you have like the labor automation, the high-tech CapEx labor automation, another element that no one's successfully pulled off yet. And then you have poor market conditions for alternative meats. Like it or not, alternative meats not performing super well right now. And maybe long-term that is the right direction, right? But just launching this concept right now in an environment where cash is expensive, it's a high CapEx environment, there aren't demonstrative platforms for any of the equipment that you really need. Like, I love Chipotle, but I'm selling this one.
Wow. All right. Wow. That's great, man.
Let's see, Cassie, what are your thoughts here?
I like that. I get to be more, I get to be a little more positive on this one, I think. So I agree with a lot of Chris's point, but I also have a slightly more optimistic take on this, particularly in this situation where we have the, Chipotle founder who understands the economics of, quick serve, and he gets it. So everyone else who's gone into this space has been more startup driven. They haven't had success in this space before. I think he'll understand the economics of if this can work. And so that's, a positive for me. Hopefully he can be the one that shows this. So, given the tough labor environment, given, high turnover, just the cost, I think being able to bring the consistency to, quick serve will be very exciting. And also, not to mention the points about the reliability, the increase in food safety. I think those are all positive. So yes, to Chris's point, it is, a tough environment. Cash is expensive, but I also think this has the potential to be the one that actually can break through and show this is a viable model.
Yeah, I think Chris brought up some really good points. And I think I almost have to separate the two, where like on one hand, is a plant-based concept going to be the right concept? And then on the other side, you're looking at the operations of this restaurant. So I think those two things, like I think there's very good points brought up in both cases. But Chris, Walton, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I was going to actually say the same thing. I think you have to divorce that in terms of how you're going to talk about this story. I think, the robot, I'm all in on the robot angle though here. Like, I think it's a really smart thing to try. And I think Cassie's point is right. And that you've got the right person trying it for the first time. Yeah. And I'm all in on robots since we went down to Schnucks a couple of weeks ago. Like we got to see that thing live in action, which is the first time I've seen a robot actually scan a store. And, I got to think about it, and like, there's all this talk about it, but at the end of the day, it's really just like the bag scanner and the security line on wheels. I mean, it's basically
the TSA line. Yeah.
Yeah. The TSA line. It's basically doing the same thing. And yet we're afraid of it because we think it's going to like come in and take over the world like the robot in Terminator 2 or something. But when you get down to what it's doing, it's not. And it's freeing people up to do the jobs that they wouldn't normally do. Same thing. You still have people in this operation that are still going to need to be employed.
Yes.
It does probably make things cleaner and safer because those people aren't touching the products, which, is a big hang up of mine when I eat at fast casual restaurants. A number of times I've gotten sick while traveling over this past year. So I just think, it's just another example of technology improving how things work, which is something that's existed since the dawn of time, quite frankly. So
yes.
The robot phobia, I'm kind of like, let's get over it. It shouldn't even be in the headline, in my opinion. It's just like, we're going to figure out how to do a fast casual restaurant better.
Yeah, I love that, Chris. I mean, I think that the most important part of this headline is watching how they're grasping the reality of this, which is robots or technology working alongside human beings in this type of concept. I think you're looking at, to Chris C, to push back a little bit. I mean, you're looking at the technology that they're using in Chipotle now, like the avocado maker, the automatic avocado maker right now, that's cutting down on time, by hours for each prep cook to not have to make the guacamole on, by hand. And I think, when you look at the savings of one prep cook spending, 4 hours cutting peppers over and over and over again, like, is that a repetitive, mundane task that makes sense to be replaced by robots? I think in this case, the answer is yes. And then you're still leveraging that human workforce to be the backup here to make sure that they're troubleshooting with customers, ensuring that facilities are clean, and that they're, getting into the nooks and crannies of the business that the robots can miss. So I'm excited about this one. I think it's got some legs. I do agree, though, that I think the challenge may be the plant-based portion of this, and that's where this might fail, unfortunately, and that could kill the validity of the robotics being included.
Yeah, Chris is right. So you never want to look at a business plan when there's like 3 unknowns, at play here too. Like that makes it a lot harder. There's an uphill battle for sure.